You do a little low. You're the Godfather. All right.
Okay, I think we can move on now to UU.
Go ahead and get the money lent and it'll be paid back.
It's very interesting.
So that's really how people make a lot of money, is using other people's money to make it.
Oh, sure. It's a good way to do it.
So we'll see. I mean, Alex says if it'll be a track record of 2 years, it'll be. It will not be a problem raising capital. It will not be a problem raising capital at all. So
That's good stuff. So are you on your way now to the gym?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So is everything else?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just saying this.
Just saying.
Yeah, I figured that you got. Did you see somebody today, or was it?
No, it's different, but I'll see you on Sunday, looks like.
You don't want to come down and see me tonight?
No.
Was it bad, or was it?
No. Just, just, so, yeah.
I know, like, I could kind of talk to you, but when I talk to you and you're not giving appropriate responses.
Yeah.
Stories, it just seems like another
Yeah.
Did someone bother Wendy?
Not yet.
Or do you think they will?
I don't know.
Well, I
think
it's important that you see me before Sunday.
Well, where exactly are you going to be tomorrow? Adelson tomorrow, so maybe we'll get a chance to use it. That was a very good thing.
Well, I'm meeting Doug in the afternoon. I haven't texted. I haven't texted Adam yet. I'm supposed to meet him at some point. But I can set up a meeting with him at any time. I mean, do you want to come up to my house in the morning, or?
That might be a good idea.
Because I'll tell you what, I don't want to wait.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you wait, and something that could have been nipped in the bud early becomes something that doesn't get nipped in the bud early, and then it snowballs out of control.
Yeah, so maybe tomorrow, we're up early. So once we got, maybe for breakfast or something around. You want to meet Charlotte for breakfast, Charlotte? Yeah. You want us to come to you, right?
Well, traffic is. I could let me find out.
Check your schedule and then we'll work something out, okay?
Yeah, let me do that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Sounds good. Let's discuss that once you check.
But, I think it's just better that things get nipped in the bud early.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't just call and let me know.
There's reasons. Let me talk to you tomorrow. You figure out your schedule. We're free until we have to pick up the kids. So we'll work around.
All right, so it's apparent some other contact has occurred. Is this timing of this call consistent with that being from the text bump that we saw a few moments ago?
Yes, it's the same day, the afternoon of when it happened.
And the text bump indicates I want the money now or I'm going after the 100K, right?
Correct.
The 100K, you said it was a reward. A reward for what?
Reward for information leading to the investigation leading to the arrest of the killer for Dan Markell.
And at any time, does they do that?
No, they didn't.
Go get the reward. Solve the case.
Nope, they did not.
All right, so let's go to the next day. We decide about skipping VV and we're going to WW.
Charlie?
Hey, how are you?
Good, honey. How are you doing?
Good. I'm coming across the bridge now.
Oh, okay. Okay, wonderful.
Do you want to come to the apartment or do you want to come down?
You know what? We'll meet you outside and then we can walk to the pool area.
All right, sounds good.
Okay?
All right. I'll see you soon.
Okay, honey. Love you. Bye-bye.
XX.
Ma'am.
Hello?
So,
Yes.
I put the page outside and she can up a little bit.
The what?
I put the page outside and she, I'm talking about this is Susan on the other line. She's coming down the group.
Oh, you're gone?
Yeah. I put the tape up right here and sweep you up. Okay. It's not like you're going to do it.
Yeah. Not that old, so, but I don't even know.
Can you get out of the place?
No, I'm saying like a call, so.
You got a call?
Yeah, I'm like, well, I don't know, but I'm not talking to my friends, I was like, okay,
So, you sir?
yeah, so I'm like, what's going on, I don't know. So I'll call you when I get kind of about that, right? So like I was calling you, to see what you're up to. Okay. I started ringing, my ears started ringing, like you got it.
Oh, man.
When I text you, just, like respond back to me, for the same time. Right?
Okay.
For XX, I missed an item on our sheet, meeting at pool. What does that refer to?
Charlie Adelson met with his parents at the Icon. We tried to cover it, sent some agents in to try to record, but they could not get close enough to them.
Where did the meeting occur?
It occurred like in the pool area inside the Icon.
All right, so the three of them sat down at the pool area and had a chat or something
Yeah,
else?
apparently they were in a like a private pool area inside the building. They were in the pool area by themselves talking.
Okay. All right. Sorry I missed that. Let's jump forward to why.
Hey, let
Hey.
me call you in a little bit, okay? I may just call you from the landline. I'm at my friend Adam's place in Miami. Go down to the Gables, so I'll probably call you from the landline. Ready?
Right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll call you in a little bit.
All right. ZZ, please.
Hey.
Hey, well, like trying to find my son is like, I don't even know where he is.
Just look for the
Oh,
kid
really?
with monkey bars.
Yeah, probably him, right? Okay, just give me a quick recap because, like what exactly on the text?
And I'm not asking you to do anything about it
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Oh, hi, baby. Yeah, come on. Yes, you gotta go to an appointment. Go ahead.
But the person said, so you don't take me serious, and you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Yeah, the person says, so you don't take me serious, and you have some puta calling me up, Katie's baby daddy. So, and then it was like, so you don't know what, so you don't, or something. Then there was something about it was done for you. And then there was something about like you don't respect what was done for you or something like.
You don't respect?
Oh, you don't? No, you don't. He was like, it was like 20 words. It started off with, so you don't take them serious. And then it was, you have some.
He said on the phone.
Okay.
Go, come on, me.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
So you don't take them serious, and you have some puta call me up, Katie's baby daddy. You don't appreciate what was done for you or something like that.
All
And
right.
that was it. That was it. It just ended.
All right.
But it came from that same number. The person didn't block the number they're texting from.
Yeah, no, we already got to that. We got to that
Yeah.
point already. All right, gotcha.
So don't do
Alright.
anything. And I have a feeling, it's one of two things. And I could care less. I just want the person to stop harassing me.
Go on the phone. Okay, gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
evidently, if you're whoever called, the person would give a shit.
No, I had a friend that called, but
Yeah, whoever it was that called, this person texted my mom at 2 o'clock in the morning, could really give a shit.
now he's referencing.
He referenced, the only person's name he referenced in the text was Katie's baby daddy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he was in the I had this daddy.
yeah,
No, it really has a baby daddy.
yeah.
It doesn't look like.
Yeah, so I think the weird thing is, whoever it is, could really give a shit about what was said to him. Because he has no problem continuing to send text messages from that number.
That's the part that really boggles my mind.
Yep. So don't do anything.
Not afraid, obviously. Somebody that's
No,
thinking
no.
or something.
Somebody
Somebody
has
that
no
has
problem.
to get all of this information. This is, I mean, the personal phone calls, a text, somebody, like it's a lot.
Okay, but this is my one fear.
Uh-huh.
Nobody can protect somebody all the time. If it's a 1% chance that it is a bad guy who did something I worry about my dad's safety going into an office where.
No, I get you, bro. You don't gotta like.
And that's
like,
what.
walk out of me, like, sure. So like, go, like, no.
Yeah, yeah, that's what,
Right?
you know.
And if whoever it is, if they're referencing to me, you don't think I'm scared?
Yeah, and whoever it is, like, whoever called, the person got obviously
But
able to
like,
talk to.
no.
He called him a poop dog.
That becomes even more of like, okay,
Yeah,
what are you dealing with now? What are you doing now? Like, is it somebody that's just waiting for you to be like, hey, like, how's it going? Like, or
Well,
like somebody's trying to like mess with you, like, you know what I mean? Like, we just in the line. It becomes much more of like, damn, is it a threat? Like, what is going on?
and then if they do, they're throwing a lot of information out that I don't know. So which is crazy. The question is, where did they get it from? And why don't we just go collect the reward, whoever has the information?
Exactly. All right. We're saying the same thing repetitively, and it's getting to the point where it's like,
so don't do anything. I just don't. It's just aggravation. That's all. I just want my family left alone. Yeah. That's my day. Hopefully I have a day off, so I get to hang out with everybody, deal with nonsense.
right.
So.
Right.
It's.
Like, I try to remember so many, and it's so hard because you throw in so many other details behind it that it's like when I have to like think it out of my head, like I'm all over the place because like there's just so much more of what's not necessary.
No, I know. I would do that. I would go off on tangents and shit. I just listen. You're just my friend. That's the only reason why I'm going to.
I know, it's pissing me out because it's like, I don't even know, like, you know, I'm trying to help you out and figure out like, what the hell's going on. So,
I wish I knew what was going on with all these fucking crazy people out there. I mean,
goodbye, everyone.
all right, hey, good luck with his endo appointment.
I'm gonna call him because I don't like doing like anything. So,
Well, that's not your fault. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, next we have a text, AAA. Can we publish that, please? And if you'll tell us about this text.
This text is from Catherine McVanwa to Sigfredo Garcia.
What does it say?
It says, "Call me if you can step out of the office for a second."
Okay. Play BBB, please.
hello?
Yeah.
Are you home?
Well, I'll definitely take care of it. Did you pick up anything?
Yeah, I'm home.
Yeah.
But it was such a mission to go get him. Hello?
Yeah.
Are you home?
Yeah.
So, what do you call? One of my friends just called me and was saying, like, remember when I had asked you, like, to do me a favor because somebody forgot me one of my friends asked me?
Yeah.
Or, like, they texted yesterday at 2 o'clock in the morning, not giving a shit, not blocking their number, with the same freaking number that I had,
Yeah.
to help me out with, whatever, saying, obviously you're not taking me seriously. You have a puta calling who is Kitty's baby Ari, and I was like, what are they talking about? Like, he's like, my friend is telling me, like, I don't even know if it's you or whoever. I mean, the thing is, like, these guys are gonna go out with, like, plenty of kids. I have a lot of kids friends. Like, I don't know who the hell it is. And, you don't appreciate what was done for you or something, and this is not gonna stop. What's so funny is, how does somebody know your voice? Or even if they're talking about you,
Yeah.
could be a completely different person for all I know, you know?
Yeah.
They're asking me because it's like it seems, like, you know, because I told them, like, help them, you know, like, I was like, oh yeah, I'll try to help you out. But it's funny how it just happened late last night at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like somebody got hit.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%.
And they're not supposed to use that number because their parents will definitely need, you know, they got to how much more should they get around. I don't think anybody should go through that. And it's funny, like, how do you get, you know, it's just calling his mom, like, not calling anybody else, but like, yeah, you can look it up or whatever, but it's pretty great. Use my number.
Yeah, it is pretty great.
So, I just don't like, you know, the fact that my name is being thrown out and baby daddies are being thrown out. Like, what is all that?
Yeah, no, I don't know nothing about it. So, I'll definitely take care of it. Did you pick up Ethan?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it was such a mission to go get him.
Okay, so we were on May 5th. Let's go to May 6th. On May 6th, does Donna Adelson call the undercover?
Yes.
How many times does she call the undercover?
I believe maybe 3 times.
Okay, does she leave a voicemail one time?
I believe so.
How many times does she actually have a conversation with the undercover?
Just once.
Right, and Judge, that call is on State's Exhibit 107. Move to publish that call at this time.
You may.
Hello?
This is Mrs. Adelson. Is this,
Hello?
Sammy? Okay, my grandchildren had my phone before, so,
Senora Adelson?
I'm Mrs. Adelson.
Yes.
Yeah, my grandchildren had my phone before, so that's, and I just saw that you called.
Oh, okay.
You
left a message on my voicemail.
Right, I did.
Yeah.
This is my problem. You approached me on Alton Road. You handed me an article from the newspaper about my ex-son-in-law. You told me I need to call you and help your friend who is in prison. Now, at the time you did that, I didn't understand what you were talking about. I didn't call you back. Then you mailed me a threatening letter. Then you send me a text message to my phone that says I'm not taking you seriously. So I am taking you seriously. And I really want you to listen to me.
I'm listening.
I have to tell you, I mean, this is important. I've been so stressed out. I have spoken to 10 or 12 people who are close friends of mine, telling them about this and basically picking their brains and asking them what I should do because I don't know your friend who is in jail. You mentioned a name. I don't even know his name. I never spoke to him. I don't know what he looks like. I've never met him. I'm sorry your friend's in jail, but I don't know what that has to do with me.
You know exactly what it has to do with. You know exactly what. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me. You just got to listen to me.
You need to ask your friend who this person looks like, what their name is, something, because I know there's a big reward out there, and if you need money for your friends, that's the way to get it. I mean, I'm asking you nicely. I don't know who he is. I am out of the loop. It is not me. If I can help, I would help. I mean, that's what.
Just like I told you, listen to me. Just like I told you that day, we know that your family had a problem up north. We know that problem was taken care of about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we know that Katie has been taken care of and has been taken care of. Now my brother in jail. We were in Broward together. He told me the whole thing, and he hasn't been taken care of. You know. Now, all that's being asked for is 5K. That's all we're asking for is for 5K. And he told me everything, and I know everything. I know who's involved. I know everything, and I'll get the 100K for myself.
You know,
All I ask is to send the 5K. Everybody knows what's going on.
I don't, you know, you're saying everyone knows. I know I lost my ex-son-in-law. I did not have anything to do with it. That's why I said, ask him what. That's what my brother Tasso told me. He told me everything when we were in jail. He told me everything and who was involved. I know everything. Well, I don't. That's the problem. I am telling you, it's not me. It's not me. I have had a year of aggravation, a year and a half of aggravation over this. My daughter, my grandchildren. It is not me. And when I asked my friends, what do they think? They said, well, this person needs to get a description of you because of what you look like. It's not me. I don't know who caused this. It wasn't me. I mean, I don't know.
Just like that day when I talked to you, this is not going away. This is not going to go away because Tato told me everything. He wasn't being taken care of. He needed the 5K. Sent 5K. That's all we were asking for. Don't do that.
I don't know who Tato is. You don't understand.
We know you don't know who Tato is, but you know who Katie is. And you know the contacts Katie has. And she has, listen to me, let's stop fucking around. Let's stop fucking. Okay? You know who Katie is. And you know that Katie has somebody that knows Tato. And they took care of a problem for you people. That's just the bottom line. The bottom line is you know who the fuck Katie is.
Look, I don't.
I'm no more than Mr. No, I'm not fucking around with it. You know who Katie is. Do you know that they took care of Katie and her people? Nobody's taking care of Tato. I know you don't know who Tato is.
No,
but we know who all of you are. And this ain't going away.
You know what?
So I can give you you want then the 5K?
Here's what you need to do. You need to go and...
Don't tell me what to do. I know what to do and I'm doing it.
You're looking for money. Get $100,000 or whatever whatever the reward is. It isn't me. You have got the wrong person. That's why I said ask your friend,
Jordana Adelson.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Well, I know. We know who's involved in all this.
Yes, this is not making any sense. I mean, if you want the money, you should get it from the police. They can give you a whole lot more than you're asking me for money for someone. I can't do this. I have had too much stress and too much aggravation from this, and I don't know what you are talking about. I just don't know. I just don't know.
Good. I think you should talk to Katie. Talk to your people that are involved in this. You'll know. You know what's going on.
That's why I'm.
You can tell me, Senora Adelson, you can tell me all you fucking want, but I know you know. Because I know, because I heard, when I was locked up in Broward with my brother, he told me everything. Everything. He told me everything.
Well, then
I just wanted to take care of him because fucking Katie was being taken care of with her fucking Pluto.
I just think instead of asking me, you should get the money from the police. There's a lot of money out there, and I know if you think you know who this is, then go ahead and do it, because I know it isn't me. I know it isn't me. And I can't take this kind of level of stress. I just can't. I know I didn't do anything.
You talk to people, you talk to the right people, you talk to people, you make this 5K come to me. That's all I need. Just do it and get it to me. Do it and get it to me.
I'll call you
Bye.
back.
Okay, so here we have Donna making the call.
Correct.
And she refers the undercover to get the reward, to the police to get the reward, right?
Yes.
And then does she also report these incidents and what's been happening to law enforcement at that time?
No, ma'am.
Does anybody report these incidents and what's been happening and the stalking and harassment that's been going on? Does anybody report that to law enforcement?
No, not at all.
Do we have any evidence that Donna Adelson recorded that call with the undercover?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to CCC, please.
Hey, Charlie, how are you?
Good, what's going on?
Good. Well, we just finished with dinner. We drove through Blackwell back to his hotel in Miami, and we just got back to the icon. So we're going to go for just a little walk along the marina, and then we're going to go upstairs.
Right, I just stepped away, I was having, dinner with you on my phone.
Okay. I'll let you go right back.
I will.
To tell you that I did have that handpiece now.
Okay, great.
So, thank you so much.
Wondering a question, any more nonsense in the patient?
Yeah, that's why, those things always get aggravating, but I try not to let that bother me.
Was it that?
Oh, no, and I did, I loaded that new app too. I have to show it to you. I think you'll really be interested.
Okay, so you had, how long of a talk did you have?
8.
8 minutes?
Yeah,
You talked to the patient for 8 minutes, and
yeah.
they were nice?
Well, not really. No. But you'll,
Did they give any threats or anything, or?
No.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting, but I definitely want you to, I'll tell you about the patient tomorrow, but I wanted to make sure I got that stuff to you. So is that too early for you?
It kind of is. I mean, I can do it if you want.
The latest, I know, I could do it at 9, but that would be the latest, because then we have to get up to Boca and back to Fort Lauderdale in a tight time frame. That's the only reason. And then I know you were leaving at 11.
What time do you have to be at Boca?
About 10.
And then when do you come back to Fort Lauderdale?
By, I think it's 12. I think we have to be back by 12 or 12:30.
Okay, I was going to take the boat out at 12:30. If you want, I could wait a little bit.
So, you know what? I thought you were leaving at 11. That was the problem.
No, I was going to. I'll leave at 12:31 and I'll wait for you. How's that sound?
So you know what? I'll give you a call when we're leaving Boca. How's that? So it'll be definitely after 11. Yeah. I do, actually. Yeah. But I'll call you from Boca. When we're on the- For example,
Were they real talkative or
a very,
really?
yeah,
That's interesting too.
yeah, it is. So let me call you from then, so that way I can, make sure that the time is good for you, and that's when I will, I'll get to see you, okay?
Okay, that's awesome. That's actually all very, 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 very good news.
Yeah, it is.
Because, that's an excellent, excellent sign.
Yeah. So you go, enjoy your evening, say hello to June for me, and I will give you a call before we leave.
Can I tell you something? Remember that lady I had to get that, Barbara?
That's right.
Not sure, not to name names, but I had it right check for 22,000. Barbara's daughter.
Yeah.
The daughter, when she got on the phone with me, she was so to the point, and it was a threat, and it said,
Yeah.
if you don't by Thursday, if you don't by Thursday return the check, I'm going to my attorney, we're filing a suit, and we're going to court next year.
Yeah.
That's it. So which way is it going to be? It was literally, she spoke for 20 seconds. So, I mean, that's, anyway, so it's good that they're trying to
Okay.
so I'm working, she's outside of Johnny B's.
Oh, go ahead.
But I will do this. I will wait, take the boat out, even if my friends are here when you're here. What I'll do is I'll go sit in the car with you and we'll talk and go over the case as long as that has the models.
Yeah, I
Don't
show you.
do not forget those hand pieces I need.
No, I know. I got them all packed up ready. I will see you tomorrow. Love you.
Sounds good. Love you all.
Bye.
Okay, if we could go to the next day, May 7th, 2016. I'm sorry, that's the same day. We're going from 11. Have I gone to the next day? Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. DDD is what I'm trying to go to. Yeah.
Hello?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. I'm on a boat.
Are you with Lynn?
I'm with a bunch of people, but I got a new CD that you can listen to next time I see you.
Okay.
So it's interesting, but it's 100%. 100%.
100% what?
Drop. It's a 100% record break, and then you want to drop the mic.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay,
kind
what
of
do you hear it?
you want to play when you're just cruising along and you see a Vietnamese hot-bellied pig walking down the
Is
street.
it a long day?
It's like the track is over.
I thought you used to pay.
The track's long.
I mean, you're old school, you know?
I know. It's just like a long single, 5 minutes long.
Oh, wow.
Lots of coffee.
Wow.
Yeah. So 100%.
Did you already re-say it aloud to your calls?
I heard
They
it.
can hear it? Uh-huh.
I heard the track many times. I'm going to record it. In the background.
Nice.
Oh my God! I didn't even tell you. One of my friends is hot belly pig.
How's the cutest what?
Hot belly pig.
Hot belly pig?
Yeah, you know what a pig is?
Are you serious?
Yeah, they got the cutest hot belly pig. So anyway,
That's not good.
I know. I like dogs, not pigs.
Yeah. They're hard to maintain.
But anyway, I have
What's the guy thing?
as long as they're housebroken, they're not that bad.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
You can't hear because there's music behind you and there's like.
Sorry.
I can't wait to hear your freaking singles.
I know it's playing in the background right now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, dropping like it's hot. It's gonna be like one of the funniest
Do you think
things
it's
here. I like ad-libbing. add with it.
So do you think it's gonna make good hit?
Oh, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think
You think it'll sell a lot?
I hope so. I dropped the mic.
Oh, we're like out. Like
Yeah,
that?
funny shit.
Well, what can you hear? What can you
Now,
hear?
hold on 1 second. Go ahead and install these, and then I'll pay you on Monday.
Okay.
All right, I'll talk to you.
All right, then.
Is law enforcement commonly referred to as pigs?
Yes, that's correct.
And this was the last call that I included. Are there several more discussing how sure he is that it is in fact law enforcement after reviewing this call from that the mother made?
Yes.
Okay. And in this call, he says it's fantastic. Is there a lot of enthusiastic talk about that realization?
Yes, by him. Yes.
Could we show states 59, please?
Oh, okay.
All right. Anywhere on the wire did the defendant talk about the bump, the interactions with law enforcement, bumps, I should say, with anyone other than Catherine Magbanua or Donna Adelson?
Possibly just his father.
Okay.
Adelson.
And what about Catherine Magbanua? Does she talk to anyone other than the defendant and Sigfredo Garcia about the bump or the bumps?
No, that's the only two.
Okay. And even after the 100 and 1,000% fantastic realization that this was just law enforcement fishing, does anybody go to law enforcement and report what had happened?
No, they don't.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. We meet again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Your investigation revealed that Luis Rivera used burner phones in connection with this murder, right?
He used one during the murder, yes.
That he threw away, right?
We don't know what he did with the actual phone, but he quit using it after the murder.
Okay. Sigfredo used burner phones as well, right?
We're aware of him using one during the murder, too.
And you heard about on the wire that he was going to use a burner phone, right? He was going to go get a burner phone.
He talked about getting rid of his phone after he used it.
Right.
Correct.
And so did Catherine Magbanua, right?
I don't remember her saying she was going to get rid of the phone, no.
Do you recall Sigfredo Garcia telling Catherine Magbanua on the wires, we need to go get new phones?
They did go get new phones eventually after we interviewed them.
They went to Walmart to buy 2 phones, right?
Correct. I interviewed Sigfredo and she was attempted to be interviewed. Correct.
After Sigfredo Garcia was arrested, Catherine Magbanua only used her, to your knowledge, her burner phone, right?
No, she still used both phones, but she used them in very limited capacity.
There's no evidence that Charlie Adelson ever used a burner phone, right?
Not that we were able to establish.
During the wires, he always used the same phone, correct? The cell phone.
Correct, with WhatsApp.
Fair enough. There's no evidence that he ever went and bought a burner phone, right?
I have not collected that evidence of a burner phone. We did have witnesses that we interviewed make reference to him having more than one phone, but we never were able to establish that.
Never were able to corroborate that, right?
No.
And in fact, when he was arrested 8 years after the murder, 6 years after everyone else was arrested, he had the same phone number, right?
I believe he did.
He used that same phone number for more than a decade, right?
That's roughly correct, yes.
Okay. Now, the day before Sigfredo Garcia's arrest, law enforcement went to his place of work and tried to interview him, right?
That's correct, I did.
Did you say you did?
Yes, sir.
And you believe that he lied during the interview, obviously, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, at the same time that Sigfredo Garcia was being interviewed, other law enforcement went to the place where they were living, him and Katie, and knocked on the door and tried to interview her, right?
That's correct.
And she hid, right?
She did.
And you know she hid because you heard on the wires that she was making calls to a lot of people, right?
That's correct.
On all the people that she was calling on the wires, she never calls Charlie Adelson, right? When she's hiding.
While she's hiding just during that hour-long scenario, I don't believe she did. But I was in Miami. I wasn't monitoring the wire then.
But you have put in all the wires here, so you've reviewed them, right?
Yes, long time ago.
And in reviewing the wires, will you take my representation that she called 3 people and none of them were Charlie Adelson?
Sure, that sounds accurate.
And from the calls that you have reviewed and listened on the wires, it was obvious to her, in fact, she said it on the calls, that the police were outside her house, right?
Correct.
So if she testified before this jury that she had no idea the police were outside her house because they didn't announce themselves, that would be a lie, right?
I believe at the beginning she might not have known, but by the end of it, I believe she did know, yes.
Okay. Fair to say at some point when she was hiding in the house, she knew that the FBI and the police, maybe not the FBI, but she knew that law enforcement were at her front door, right?
Yes, I believe she did.
Okay. The next day when Sigfredo Garcia was arrested the next day, right?
That's correct, the next evening.
And when he was arrested, Catherine Magbanua left her townhouse and never with the kids and never came back, right?
No, that's incorrect.
That's incorrect. She went back to live in that townhouse?
No, she didn't live in the house the night after we conducted the interview of Sigfredo.
Okay. Then she left?
Yes.
Okay. And she never came back?
Correct.
Fair enough. Law enforcement didn't know where she was for a while, right?
Correct. She was keeping her phones off. We knew she was still in the state of Florida, but it would give us a brief indication, and then, yes, we didn't know where she was at all times, for sure, or exact location.
You were worried that she had fled, right?
I wasn't worried she fled the state. I knew she had turned her phone off and was eluding us.
Did Charlie Adelson turn off his phone after the arrest?
No, he just stopped using it for quite a significant period. Quit using it regularly, I should say.
Aren't there a lot of calls after the arrest between Charlie Adelson on his phone?
Of insignificance, just like work calls and things like that.
Fair enough.
Right.
But I want to make sure the jury understands he continued continued to use his phone, right?
He did in a different capacity, in my opinion.
But he continued to use his phone, Special Agent, right?
Yes, sir, he did.
He didn't get a new phone.
Not that we know of.
He didn't change his number.
Correct.
He went to work.
Correct.
He didn't flee his house.
Not that we know of, no.
Well, when you arrested him 6 years later, was he in the same house?
He was that night, yes.
Okay. You say that night.
Or that morning.
Had he been living in that house pretty much continually for the next 6 years?
I'm aware that he had a couple of different houses. I'm not sure if I don't know if he stayed in that house all the time or not because I didn't keep tabs on him every day.
Okay, fair enough. But when you went to arrest him, you knew where to go, right?
We found him there, yes.
And you knew where to go because that was his main residence, right?
Correct. It was still his residence of some record.
That had been his residence for the entire time since 2014, correct? I'm not saying he didn't have other residences, but that was the place where he primarily lived, correct?
He still owned the house. I believe on his driver's license he had a different address. He changed it.
Okay. Now, it was made public, the arrest of Rivera and Sigfredo in May 2016, correct?
Correct. Right after his arrest, correct.
And Charlie Adelson didn't flee.
Not that I know of.
Well, you didn't have to go on a manhunt for him, right?
Not years later. We didn't look for him immediately right then.
There were news reports, 2020 primetime specials in September 2016. He didn't flee.
Correct. Not that I'm aware of.
There was a probable cause affidavit leaked to the media in September 2016. Are you aware of that?
I am aware of it, yes.
And that probable cause affidavit was over 20 pages long?
I don't recall. That sounds right.
It was very detailed.
It was.
Much of the evidence that came in this courtroom in the last week was in that report, right?
That's correct.
And it was against Charlie Adelson, right?
Some of it was, yes.
And when that was released, he didn't flee, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Catherine Magbanua was arrested in October 2016, right?
Correct.
He didn't flee, right?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Sigfredo Garcia was convicted at trial in 2019. Charlie Adelson didn't flee, right?
That's correct.
The state announced its intention to retry Catherine Magbanua after the jury hung in 2019. Again, he didn't flee, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
And in the months leading up to her trial, he didn't flee, correct?
Correct.
Now, he did travel out of the country many times, right?
I believe so, yes.
And he traveled to some places where extradition is, at least we could say, difficult.
Could be.
Did he? Special Agent, we were talking about the places he went to where extradition was tough. He always came back, right?
Yes.
Now, during the course of your investigation, did you review text messages between Katie and Charlie?
Yes.
And did you learn that Katie wanted a longer, deeper relationship with Charlie as time went on?
I don't know if I recall that. There was a lot of back and forth there.
Fair enough. Did you learn that Charlie didn't feel the same way?
I don't know if I recall that either.
Did you see text messages where he said, I don't want to get married, I don't want 2 kids, to that effect?
Possibly that. I mean, it's probably in there somewhere. There was a lot of back and forth between him and other females that I could be getting confused.
Do you recall him talking to a friend in text messages, talking about a trip he was going to take with Katie in the early to midsummer before the murder, where he told his friend it's the goodbye tour?
That sounds familiar.
Did you learn that Katie and Charlie broke up within weeks after the murder?
No. My understanding was possibly right around the time of the murder. I'm not sure the exact timing of it, though.
Fair enough. Now, we listened to a lot of calls. Katie lies to Charlie when she told him that she would call the undercover, right?
Correct.
She lied to Charlie when she told him that she called the undercover and there was no answer.
Correct.
She lied to Charlie when she told him that the undercover number was a non-working number, right?
Correct.
Non-working number would be like in the old days where it goes beep, right?
That's my understanding.
Okay. She lied to Charlie when she said she called the undercover and got an answering machine. When she called the undercover.
Correct. She was not the one to make the call. Correct.
She lied to Charlie when she said she left a threatening message. She left a threatening message.
Correct.
On the undercover's voicemail.
Correct.
By the way, Sigfredo Garcia may have called the voicemail, but he didn't leave any message, right?
No, that's correct. He did not.
He didn't leave a threatening message.
No.
Another lie by Katie Charlie, correct?
Correct. Or by Sigfredo, one of the two.
After her conviction, Catherine McBanawa was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, right?
Correct.
And about a month after she was sentenced, she decided she wanted to cooperate.
I don't know the timing of it.
Fair enough. At some point after her sentencing, she wanted to cooperate, right?
Correct.
And she met with law enforcement at least twice. You were there 2 times.
That's correct.
And you met for hours.
I wouldn't. The first time I think was probably less than an hour, around an hour. The second time I met with her was probably less than an hour.
If I told you the first time was 2 hours and 12 minutes, would you believe me?
That's what it shows us sitting in the room with her for 2 hours and 12 minutes?
That's what the notes say.
Okay. If that's what the video shows, then...
Fair enough. Nonetheless, you met with her twice.
Okay.
She was placed under oath.
Yes.
And we'll start with the first meeting. You believe she continued to lie.
Correct.
You even tried to stop the interview the first time, correct?
I didn't stop the interview. I tried to relay to her that, yeah, it was in her best interest to tell the truth.
You didn't believe her.
I didn't believe a lot of the...
Objection? Say that one more time.
Speculation. You can't give opinions about other witnesses.
Sustained.
Were you frustrated?
Somewhat of some certain things I was, yes.
Was she telling you things? We'll go to your second interview of her. Were you frustrated in the second interview as well?
Yes, I was.
You didn't believe she was being... I'll withdraw. During her second interview, at one point, you said to her, what you are telling us just doesn't make sense. Do you recall telling her that?
That sounds about right.
And this wasn't her first trial when she testified, right? I mean, I know you didn't believe her then, but this was during her proffers, right?
Yes.
This was just less than a year ago, right?
I don't remember the date, but that sounds right.
Now, the bump was an extortion, right?
It was a attempted extortion, correct? Somewhat.
But what law enforcement didn't know is that an extortion had already happened, right?
Don't believe there was an extortion prior.
What law enforcement didn't understand is that the things said on the recording related to the fact that there had already been an earlier extortion.
I disagree.
Do you recall on the recordings repeatedly Charlie Adelson is talking about the characteristics of the person who did the bump?
Yes.
He's saying things like he used his phone. He's not disguising himself. He's not giving 48 hours. He's not making a threat. Do you recall that?
I do.
Did it seem like he was comparing it to something else?
To me,
Yes.
it seemed like he was comparing it to a TV show.
Fair enough. Because you don't know what happened on July 18th, 2014, right?
July 18th, 2014?
You don't know what happened on the evening of July 18, 2014 in Charlie Adelson's house, right?
Oh, you're referring to the date of the murder. I know what happened on that day, but not that evening, no.
You don't know what happened in his house that night, right?
Correct.
During the bump, Charlie's way of calming his mom down, a co-conspirator, right? You consider her a co-conspirator.
I do, yes.
Charlie's way of calming down his mom, a co-conspirator, was telling her that he thought it was the police, right?
That was one way, yes.
So let me get this straight. Two people who have just done a murder prefer the bump to be a policeman rather than another co-conspirator or another bad guy.
Correct.
What could this note mean? The only people who actually spoke to the undercover was Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson, correct?
Correct.
And when they spoke to the undercover, they used their phones. Let me be more precise.
Okay.
When Charlie Adelson spoke to the undercover, he used his cell phone.
He used, yes, and he blocked his number when he called, yes.
He used star 67 did.
Correct.
He used his cell phone though, correct?
I believe he did. I can't remember the exact
Fair.
dial digits that it came from.
Fair enough. Now, the calls that you put in, you can read the words, but there's some guessing as to the meaning, correct? Of what they're talking about?
It could be, yes.
And Dolce Vita, in particular, you can't hear a lot of what Katie Magbana was saying, correct?
It's hard to hear a lot of it, yes.
There's about 100 unintelligibles when she is speaking, correct?
Correct.
And there's a missing chunk of that meeting before the recording even starts, right?
Correct. They got in the vehicle first and before they went into the restaurant.
And let's talk about them getting in that vehicle. So before they get to Dolce Vita, Charlie Adelson and Katie Magbana will meet in a car.
He pulls up and she comes out of her office and gets in the car, yes.
How long are they in that car for?
It's an approximation around 10, 15 minutes.
I think you're right. And you don't know what was said in that car, right?
No.
Now, during this bump, you all are listening on the wires, right?
Correct.
And no one's paying the money.
Correct.
And part of what you're hearing is that the threats aren't big enough.
No, I disagree with that.
Okay? Let me ask it this way.
Okay.
It starts with a bump on the street, right?
Right.
And we watched it. The gentleman who's playing Aladdin King, he's a little bit polite. Can we say that?
Correct.
He's the nicest Aladdin King I've ever seen in my life.
Correct. There's reasons.
The next event that happens is, well, there's a bunch of events, but let me tell you the next progression. Is a letter is delivered to Donna and Harvey Adelson's apartment.
Correct.
So now you've gone from the street to the apartment, right?
That's correct.
And the letter is a little more threatening.
A little bit.
And still no one pays.
Correct.
And then there's a couple calls to the office. There's a call to the office.
Correct.
Still no one pays.
Correct.
And then there's a text message that comes at like 2 or 3 in the morning to Donna Adelson, right?
Yes.
And the timing is kind of important, right?
It could be taken that way.
And the text message is definitely more threatening.
Yes.
Now, going to the wires very briefly. Don't worry, I'm not going to go over them all with you.
Thank you.
Do you recall some wires around April 26 where Katie and Sigfredo are fighting?
Of 16, yes.
And some wires that were not played in court. But do you recall that they were fighting about something completely different than this case?
Could have been.
They were fighting about a girl that Sigfredo found, that Katie found on Sigfredo's cell phone.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
With a tattoo.
I don't remember that part.
And do you recall that the day before, or 2 days before the letter, law enforcement sends the letter to Donna and Harvey Adelson, that Katie actually leaves the house. She leaves them.
I do recall her leaving the house at some point. I don't remember the timing, though.
And the call that Ms. Kappelman played for you, where they're fighting, Sigfredo in the beginning of the call thinks that she's talking about, like he says, you need to make an appointment to see your son. Recall that?
Yes.
And it's because she has just left the house the day before.
Sounds correct.
She's
yes.
left him.
Correct.
And she says to him in the text message, listen, I got to talk to you about something else.
Yes.
You recall that?
I do.
And you recall that Charlie Adelson finds out that these two are having problems, and he freaks out.
I don't remember that. I remember him talking to her about their separation and trying to encourage her.
And he's encouraging her to get back together with him, right?
I do remember that, yes.
By the way, Ms. Kappelman asked you after the last bump text that was received in the early morning by Donna Adelson. She asked you if anyone actually told the undercover, go to the police and collect your reward. You remember her asking you that question?
I thought that was before that text message.
Well, let's just make this clear, whether it's
Okay.
before or after.
Okay.
Isn't it true that that's precisely what Miss Adelson, Donna Adelson, told the undercover? If you have information, go to the police.
She did at that point. That's correct.
Right? That's what she said.
On that call.
Now, she didn't want to go to the police. She never went to the police, right?
Correct.
Charlie never went to the police.
No.
And you don't know why. You guess why, but you don't know why.
There's reasonable belief, yes.
But you don't know why he didn't go to the police.
Can't read his mind, no.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Okay.
Looking at those text messages, by the way, after the night of July 18th, do you see a decrease in text messages initially? So if you're looking at July to September between Charlie Adelson and Catherine Magbanua.
A decrease in text message, you're talking about 2014?
Yeah, initially.
I'd have to go back and look. I don't recall.
Do you see that the relationship, though, as time goes on, gets stronger? Not boyfriend-girlfriend, but does definitely get stronger.
I don't recall.
Now, I want to just make sure that something was clear yesterday because I think it was a little confusing. And I don't think it was on purpose, but I want to make sure that the facts are clear.
Sure.
After Professor Markel was murdered, Wendy Adelson gave complete access to the Markels. Isn't that true? Until the email was sent.
I don't know about complete access, but I believe I know when that email was sent, there were things that were cut off.
Fair enough. But before the email was sent, there was a different type of access.
There was better access. I could say that.
Do you recall, and you know what, let me set it up first. It might take a second, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Especially with new technology. Oh, no, you've already called. It's SX 130. It's your exhibit 130. It's one of the wires. Call 989. Hold on one second, Your Honor. recall the Dave call?
Which one?
The first call I think that was played yesterday. It was a call about Charlie and Donna's affection for Dave.
Sure. I remember several of them, but
And do you recall that Ms. Kappelman played 19 minutes and 11 seconds of that call? And then she stopped it.
I don't recall how much or when, but that's possible, yes.
Well, let me play when it was stopped.
Okay.
If I just play it, is it going to go on this thing? Sorry. And while we work on this, let me do a test before I ask a question.
Go ahead.
To make money, they already have their kids.
Okay. Did it work in the headphones? No. All right. Well, I think we can hear it. It's pretty loud. Let's see if we can hear it. I'm going to play you at 20 minutes and 20
Looking
seconds.
to make a whole want to make money. They already have their kids. I'm not looking to make a whole.
She owes it to those kids.
Yeah, but
She has an opportunity that she would throw in the garbage, and then these kids, and believe me, that's it. They're not going to have another
No.
dad.
no. Well,
And
it was a listen. They had a dad. It was a tragedy. What happened?
Yeah. Well,
What I'm
here's an
telling you.
opportunity.
So there, 20 minutes and 25 seconds into the call, about 2 minutes after Miss Kappelman stopped it, Charlie Adelson says it's a tragedy what happened to their dad, right?
Yes, he did.
And that was in response to his mom saying Dave would be a great dad, right?
Correct.
And Charlie says they already had a dad and it was a tragedy what happened to him.
He did.
When Charlie Adelson said that on this call, that was stopped before this jury, when he said that on that call, that's before the bump.
I believe it was, yes.
That's 21 months after the murder.
Correct.
He had no idea whatsoever that he was being recorded.
I would probably disagree with that.
But the other stuff, remember yesterday she brought in other stuff about Dave and she asked you those same questions. She said this is before the bump. You recall her asking you that?
Yeah, it was before the bump.
And she said it was almost 2 years after the murder.
Correct.
I'll leave it at that, Agent. No further questions.
Redirect examination.
Point being, 2 years after the murder, they're still screwing around in Wendy's love life. Is that what happened?
That is correct.
All right. A couple other things. You were asked about, Mr. Rashbaum referred to it as the goodbye tour. I recalled it as the farewell tour, but you know what? We're talking about the breakup trip between Catherine Magbanwa and this defendant.
Early July, I believe.
Okay. Is it your recollection that that was the end of that actually was the end of their relationship, or is there evidence that they continued seeing each other for some time after that?
I believe there was a little bit of, I believe there was some seeing after that.
Okay, would the text messages refresh your recollection on that
They
issue?
would.
Okay.
They would. It's been a while.
I tabbed these for you to take a look and see if the blue tabs refresh your recollection.
Okay. Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
So when does it appear that Catherine Magbanua and the defendant broke up?
It appears like in August, around August 25th,
Around August 25th of 2014?
2014.
All right. And did they continue to stay in contact to varying degrees throughout the time from their breakup to the arrests in this
Yes,
case?
they did.
Did you have an opportunity during your investigation to conduct any surveillance on Catherine Magbanua and Sigfredo Garcia?
Yes, we did.
All right. And did you... Well, let me ask you if you've ever worked on or heard of a case where an extortionist commits their crimes wearing a fake Abe Lincoln beard and a floppy hat.
No, I'm not.
Did you ever observe Catherine Magbanua or Sigfredo Garcia dressed like that?
No, I didn't.
No further questions.
You may step down, Agent. Please call your next witness, State. Please call your next witness.
Your Honor, at this time the state rests.
Members of the jury, we're going to take a break at this point. The bailiff will escort you back into the jury room. Defense have any motions to raise at this point?
We do, Your Honor. Your Honor, we renew all previous motions and objections for the record, and we would move for judgment of acquittal.
As to which charge or charges?
All three, Your Honor. As to the first count, principal to first-degree murder, the evidence presented reflects no contact between Mr. Adelson or any members of the Adelson family, no substantive contact, and the shooters. The only direct evidence of Mr. Adelson's involvement came from Catherine Magbanua. She testified that Mr. Adelson, I believe at Halloween, asked her to rough up Professor Markel, and that at some point a piece of paper was placed in an envelope in her diaper bag that she never read. She testified she didn't know about the trips to Tallahassee, and she didn't even know that Professor Markel had been shot as of July 18th. So I don't believe that there's sufficient evidence to go to the jury on the element of whether Mr. Adelson did or said anything to cause or assist another to commit the actual murder. On the conspiracy to commit murder, Your Honor, again, there's no evidence of any agreement or any contact between the Adelsons and the shooters. The evidence from Mr. Rivera is that Katie Magbanua was the mastermind, and at most, again, as I said earlier, Ms. Magbanua's testimony reflects really that there was this request in October to rough up Professor Markel. And on the solicitation point, Your Honor, make the rest of the same arguments.
Response?
Just one correction on that recitation of facts, Your Honor. Catherine Magbanua testified or clarified her testimony that she didn't know the person who was shot was named Dan Markell, but she did know that she was solicited by and conspired with this defendant to commit the murder of Wendy Adelson, his sister's ex-husband, which was done.
And applying the standard which the court must at this point, which is the evidence must be viewed in the light most favorable to the state, the motion for judgment of acquittal is going to be denied. As to all prior motions and objections that the defense is once again raising, that is noted for the record. Does the defense need a brief break to discuss its case before we bring back in the jurors?
Yes, we will, Your Honor.
All right, we'll take a 10-minute break. Actually, we'll make it a 13-minute break. We'll get started again at 3:30.
I was going to ask for 20.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Everyone can be seated. And then from there, we'll address the defense's case. We discuss the timing of the defense's case before we bring back in the jurors. Are you planning to call any witnesses at all?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And would this include the defendant or other witnesses first?
It will include at least one other witness first.
Very well. Please call we'll bring in the jurors and you may call your first witness from there. Do you wish me to colloquy the defendant at this point?
I think I'd rather wait for the first witness.
All right. Keep them guessing to the very end. Please bring in the jurors. Just wait in the gallery for right now. You'll Everyone can be seated. Members of the jury, now that the state has rested its case, the defendant is going to have his opportunity to put on his case as well. Mr. Rauschbaum, you may call your first witness.
Your Honor, the defense calls Kristen Adelson.
I know it's unfamiliar, but all the way up here, Ms. Adamson. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? I do. You may take your seat.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Adamson.
Good afternoon.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Kristen Adamson, and I'm attorney at law. I was Wendy Adelson's lawyer in her dissolution of marriage action.
Where did you attend law school?
I attended law school at Florida State University. I graduated in 1988.
Are you a member in good standing of the Florida Bar?
I am.
Do you specialize in any areas of practice?
I do. I specialize in marital and family law. I'm board certified since 1994, I think, in marital and family law by the Florida State Supreme Court. I also am a fellow in the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, former president of the Florida chapter. I'm a fellow in the International Academy of Family Law Lawyers. I have been named a Florida super lawyer in family law and Best Lawyers in America since 2008, specifically Tallahassee Best Family Law Lawyer in 2012 and 2021.
You mentioned earlier that you are a board certified lawyer. What does that mean exactly?
To be board certified, the Florida Supreme Court promulgates a list of criteria that you have to become board certified in a specialty area. And you have to pass a test, both written and oral, and a peer review by your peers and the court as well. And you have to pass all three of those things in order to become board certified.
You mentioned in your introduction that you were Wendy Adelson's attorney in her divorce proceedings against Professor Markell. When were you retained?
I was retained, I think, approximately October of 2012.
Did there come a time during your representation of Wendy Adelson that you filed a motion to allow her to relocate to South Florida?
I did. I filed that motion almost immediately after I was retained. I filed an amended petition for dissolution of marriage to request that she be allowed to relocate, and a temporary motion that she be allowed to relocate. So that would have been in 2012.
Is there anything wrong with asking the court for permission to relocate?
No, it's especially in Tallahassee, because it is kind of a transitory community with the college and everything. It's fairly common for when people get divorced for one party to want to relocate somewhere else, either back where their family is, or they graduate from school and they want to move to someplace else because of a job, or they remarry. We do file these relocation requests fairly often.
In Leon County, in your experience, how often are such motions granted?
So that is the kicker. Even though we file them, I have now been practicing 35 years, and I think I've only actually won one that was allowed to relocate. They're very hard to do, and you have to have pretty serious circumstances that require the relocation.
Did you share that statistic with Ms. Adelson?
I did. I thought she had a shot at it because of all the facts surrounding her case, but I did tell her that it's very unlikely that we'll win this. But I did tell her that if you do plan to relocate or want to relocate, you need to do it now in this initial proceeding and not wait until everything's over and then ask. So we made that tactical decision to at least attempt to relocate.
And what was her reaction to that?
She wanted to be able to try, so we did. We filed the motion for relocation.
Was that motion ever heard by the court presiding over her divorce?
Yes, it was. We filed it and we set it for hearing for any number of reasons. The hearings kept getting, the legal proceedings take a long time sometimes and things get complicated. It kept getting pushed off, but ultimately I think it was around June of 2013 that we had a hearing about that relocation issue.
And what was the court's ruling?
The court said no, she could not go.
What was Wendy Adelson's reaction to the court's ruling?
She was pretty.
Ms. Adamson, you may testify to what you recall about what you observed from your client, but not your actual words.
So she was pretty calm about the whole thing. She seemed to understand that it was not a given that it would happen, that it's usually a long shot. And I spoke with her afterwards, right after the proceeding, and then I spoke with her several times afterwards to sort of decompress, and she seemed fine about it. She understood.
Okay.
Pretty resigned to the idea of it.
Okay. There's been some testimony in this case that in the wake of that denial, the Adelson family was considering offering Professor Markel a certain sum of money, $1 million, to allow Wendy Adelson and the boys to relocate to South Florida. Are you aware of that offer?
No.
Okay. In your experience, have you ever heard of one spouse making a monetary offer to another spouse to allow for things like relocation?
Objection, relevance.
Your Honor, the state has...
So that's a fairly common occurrence for relocations, and I actually just had one a couple of weeks ago where that's exactly what happened. Was the husband of the new husband of a woman who wanted to relocate basically paid my client to allow her to be able to relocate. I've also had people. It shouldn't be the case that money and children are connected, and we've tried hard to not have that happen, but it does happen sometimes. I also often have one say, if you allow us to relocate, you never have to pay child support. All kinds of those kinds of money things do get offered, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Is there anything illegal about one spouse making an offer to another spouse?
Not as far as I know.
Okay. At some point, was Professor Markel and Ms. Adelson's divorce case mediated?
We mediated it twice. We mediated it once before the hearing on the parenting, and that mediation was just about the relocation and the ability to go, and we were not successful in mediating that, so we had the hearing. Then we mediated it again in July of 2013, and that was also an impasse. It was sometime in the around July 20s, 21 maybe, something like that. But then we settled the case a week later, because that happens sometimes. I tell my clients this all the time: just because we haven't settled it at mediation doesn't mean it's over. We continued to have discussions and conversations during that last week until we finally settled the case.
Okay, so there was no trial.
There was no trial.
There was a marital settlement agreement entered. Do you recall the date?
It was the end of July 2013, right? 2013, yeah. It's a long time ago, sorry.
Without getting into words spoken, what was your impression of Wendy Adelson's reaction to the settlement of the divorce case?
She was very relieved. Most people are when you settle their cases.
Did you continue to represent Wendy into 2014?
I did.
Do you recall that in February of 2014, Professor Markel filed a motion seeking to sanction Wendy and you?
He did.
Do you recall what Professor Markel was claiming, the substance of that motion?
The substance of that motion was in response to a motion that I had filed in October of 2013 when he did not pay her or me the money that he was supposed to pay according to our marital settlement agreement. He only paid part of it, and he didn't pay the rest of it, and he didn't pay me. And this was just about the financial part. It had nothing to do with the children. So I filed a motion to enforce. It took him several, the day that I filed that motion to enforce, his lawyer that he had at that time withdrew, and he obtained a new lawyer. So that new lawyer and I talked about these issues for quite a while, and ultimately what happened was Mr. Markel filed this response, and he claimed that Wendy and I had committed fraud in obtaining that marital settlement agreement by hiding an asset.
Do you recall what relief he was seeking?
Several things he was seeking. He was basically saying that he shouldn't have to pay Wendy because she breached the contract, and one good breach deserves another, I guess is what his theory was. And second, that both Wendy and I should be disbarred.
Okay. Were you concerned about the substance of Professor Markel's allegations in that motion?
No.
Objection.
Sorry.
Relevance, move to strike.
Sustained. Disregard the last comment from the witness. You may move on.
What was your view about the likelihood of success in your experience of that motion and of getting disbarred and of Wendy Adelson being disbarred as a result of that motion?
Objection, relevance.
Your Honor,
Approach. Ms. Adelson, you may you may testify as to what you communicated to your client concerning this motion.
Concerning this motion, I basically told my client that I wasn't concerned about the legal ramifications of this, either regarding the claim of the fraud, because I know we had covered that really well in our discovery process and we had litigated it, and I was not concerned about that. I was not concerned about, so much so that I was not concerned at all about any ethical issues that I might have had with the bar and or Ms. Adelson either. I was not concerned.
do you recall that Professor Markel, or his attorney on his behalf, filed another motion in March of 2014?
So in March of 2014, well after the first motion that was just about the property, he filed a motion that made some additional claims for why he shouldn't have to abide by the payment. And these claims started talking about the children. And he made, and I don't remember all of the claims, but they were basically the substance was that he should be allowed more electronic communication with his children that he was getting, and that Ms. Adelson's mother should have supervised visitation only with her grandchildren because of statements that he thought that she might be making to the children.
Did you communicate your thoughts on this motion to Ms. Adelson?
Yes, I did.
And what were those thoughts?
So I told her as far as the electronic communication, I wouldn't worry about that too much because we already had a marital settlement agreement that outlined everybody's rights and obligations, and there had been no real changes on that. So, and the judge had actually already ruled on that kind of issue in 2013 at one of our hearings. We had a couple of hearings. So I wasn't really worried about that because they were kind of already set out what everyone should be doing, and I didn't see that there had been any changes that would make the court make any changes to that agreement. And then as far as the grandmother, I also told her that these kinds of allegations, while they're not nice or fun, they're pretty run-of-the-mill, and lots of people after they get divorced don't get along very well, and their extended families don't get along that well, but I wouldn't think that the judge would order supervised visitation based on these kinds of allegations, because supervised visitation is for pretty extreme cases. For example, I've had people who have maybe multiple DUIs and shouldn't be allowed to be with children because it's an unsafe situation, or I have had people who were abusive and they can't be with the children, so they have to be supervised. Basically what happens when people aren't talking nice, and I didn't know if it was actually true or not, but it was an allegation he made, aren't talking nice about it, what we try to do is just have conversations with the judge, and the judge might say, okay, everybody be nice, and that's it. I wasn't worried about that issue.
Did there come a time in the divorce and post-divorce proceedings when you filed a motion to withdraw?
I did.
Do you recall when that was?
Right. So we had those first two motions. They were odd.
And by first two motions, just to
the ones that we just talked about. We had the first motion where he said it was okay for him to breach because she breached. And then we had the next one about the kids and all of that. And then he filed a memorandum. I believe it was in May or June. I think May of 2014, and it was a long, detailed memorandum of law that had a lot more facts in it, and I realized at that point in time that I was probably going to have to be a witness in this case because of what he was saying about me in the memorandum and the motions, and I can't be a witness and a lawyer in the same case by the Florida ethical rules, so I withdrew because I knew I would have to take a different role.
You spoke about a lot more facts in this memorandum. Did the view of the motions that you conveyed to Wendy Adelson change as a result of the memorandum, other than the fact that you had to withdraw?
No, it was just kind of reinstating all of the same kinds of things, but it was a lot more vehemently with a little bit different language. It kept upping the ante, and that's when I realized this was not going to be something that we were going to be able to probably resolve without a court hearing, because I had been trying to do that with his lawyer. So I was going to have to do that. So I moved to withdraw, and I called another lawyer and asked him if he would please step in my place.
Okay. Did you seek to withdraw because you felt you did something wrong?
No, it was only because I knew I was going to have to testify in the case, and that was the only reason.
And you mentioned you contacted another lawyer. Did Wendy Adelson ultimately retain that other lawyer?
She did.
And do you recall when she did that?
I know that he filed a notice. I filed a motion to withdraw, and then the court granted my order within a few days of that. And I believe he, which was in end of May-ish, I think, and then he came in the first part of June, I believe.
Okay, so days before what has been talked about in this case is the first attempt, Ms. Adelson retained a new attorney to represent her in the ongoing proceedings with Professor Markel?
She did.
Okay. One additional question, Your Honor. Can I have a moment?
Take your time.
And it is actually on the ledge. There's been some discussion in this case, some testimony concerning telephone calls on the morning of May 2nd. And
Okay.
whether those telephone calls related to a motion to compel and a notice of hearing filed by Professor Markel's attorney on his behalf. And again, the testimony related to calls on the morning of May 2nd. Can you tell the jury, I'm showing you a portion of State's Exhibit 56.
Okay.
This is the notice of hearing that was filed, you can see, on May 2nd, 2014. Can you tell the jury what time?
It looks like it was filed at 3:14:48. They've got the seconds on there, p.m.
Okay. And the motion to compel, what time was this filed?
3:14:48 p.m. as well.
Okay. And just to be extra clear, it's 3:14 in the afternoon, in the morning?
It's p.m., so it's afternoon. Yeah.
I have nothing further than that.
Cross-examination.
To publish defenses, demonstrative. What number is this again?
I think it's demonstrative B.
B, Your Honor.
You may.
Okay, so on May 2nd, 2014, I know you're not familiar with this exhibit, but if these calls occurred at, we're going to have some clicking here, clicking assistance.
Members of the jury, this is our version of.
How many advanced degrees does it take to change a light bulb?
A lot of money here, Your Honor. A lot of educational dollars.
We didn't have computers.
That is true.
You were asked about a filing, or two filings that were made on May 2nd. If the phone calls in question occurred in well into the afternoon hours. It would have been after that filing. Would you agree with that?
I have no idea.
I think you
Sorry.
do, because I think you were shown the documents and asked about the time of the filings.
I know about the filings, yes.
Okay, so if the calls occurred into the late afternoon, we have it now 3:15, 3:49, 3:54, all of those times 3:56, 4:39, 4:55 would have been after those filings.
That,
would you agree
that would
with
appear to be correct.
Okay, thank you. And were you familiar with Professor Markel's practice of emailing Wendy prior to making these filings and saying, basically laying out the whole thing in an email? This is what I'm going to do. If you don't comply, I'm going to make this filing. Were you privy to those emails?
Sometimes.
Stay, Ms. Kappelman, if you can go through that with the witness.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Your Honor?
Foundation.
Okay, were you privy to emails from Professor Markel to your client, Wendy Adelson, previewing the filings before he made them?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Overruled. She's trying to lay the foundation now.
I'm aware of that he did that on occasion. Yes.
Okay, and do you know whether he did that in reference to the May 2nd filing?
I have no idea.
All right. And the case you talked about where you recently had somebody buy out their former spouse's rights to their children, basically, relocate for money, relocation for hire. How much money did that person, how much money was exchanged for that relocation?
That was not $1 million, but but it was basically when we did all of the child support and everything that would have been paid, it turns out to be somewhere probably around $200,000.
Okay. If what was alleged in Professor Markel's motion about Wendy having lied and hidden assets and all that, if she had taken those actions, that could have had serious consequences to her personally as well as her law license. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
You described, I'm sure you were referring to different parts of the case, but you referred to the case as run-of-the-mill and you referred to it as odd. Was this a particularly contentious or memorable case for you, or was it run-of-the-mill?
So those are two separate statements, I think. I think that the quibbling about the children was run-of-the-mill. I think the case was odd.
Okay. How much, I guess in general, would you agree that divorces come with high emotions?
Yes.
And do clients always take your advice?
No.
Do clients always chill out when you tell them this is nothing to worry about?
No.
Did you have any contact with Donna Adelson, the mother of Wendy Adelson, in reference to Wendy's divorce?
The only time I had any communication with Wendy's mother was at the relocation hearing that we had in June of 2013.
Did Donna testify at the relocation hearing?
She did not.
All right. So is it fair to say your contact with her was almost nothing?
Yes. She and her husband were at the hearing, and my contact with them was minimal.
All right. And so have you had an opportunity to review Donna Adelson's emails to Wendy in reference to this divorce, and in particular your representation?
I have not.
No further questions.
Redirect examination.
Very briefly, Your Honor. call in the morning of May 2nd. This call in the morning of May 2nd? See the timestamp in the upper right?
I do. So 12 a.m. is morning, 12 p.m. is noon, right? It's always one of those ones that my husband always says we should use military time. I think it's 12 a.m. means morning, right? Right after, yeah, okay.
How about 9:10 in the morning?
Yes,
9:25 in the morning?
yes.
So on?
Yes.
9:35 in the morning? And you were asked by Ms. Kaplan if Wendy had done the things that Professor Markell is sure of, failing to disclose assets and such, whether that would have been a serious matter, correct?
Yes.
Were you aware of Wendy Adelson failed to disclose assets in the context of the divorce proceeding?
No, she didn't. And in particular, the particular asset that he was talking about, it was a non-marital asset of hers, and it was her parents had given to her, and she basically took it back, but we showed him the whole paper trail of it, and his argument was kind of an esoteric legal argument about why it should be his and part of the marital estate. So it was kind of weird, and when I say the case was odd, what I mean it's odd for the opposing party to make claims against me to want me disbarred as well as his wife. So that was what was odd about the case, and I remember it because that doesn't happen in my cases. But that was the arguments that he was making, and we several times, it was one specific retirement account, so several times we gave him the documents that he requested. It just never was what he wanted.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Thank you.
If the attorneys can approach. We'll escort you back to the jury room, and then we'll resume with the defense's case. Everyone but the defendant can be seated at this time. Mr. Adelson, please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can lower your hand. Mr. Adelson, do you understand that you have the ability to testify on your own behalf?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you also understand that if you choose not to testify, your silence cannot be held against you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you had an adequate opportunity to discuss with your counsel whether you wish to testify?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you also been able to discuss with your counsel how this decision would fit into your theory of defense and also the strategy that you wish to present before the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you made a decision concerning whether you wish to testify?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that decision?
I will testify.
Are you firm in this decision?
Yes.
Do you need any additional time to discuss with your attorneys whether you wish to remain silent?
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand in testifying you will be cross-examined by one of the prosecutors.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you also understand as well that your credibility will be placed before the jury as it relates to the testimony that will come out?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions concerning that particular issue that you wish to discuss with counsel or raise before the court?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Rauschbaum, do you wish there to be any further inquiry concerning this matter?
No, Your Honor.
You may be seated.
Your Honor, may I be heard? It's the state's request that we either go late tonight, plan to go late tonight, or begin this examination tomorrow so that the examination of the witness can be...
Unfettered.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rauschbaum,
May we approach, Your Honor?
you may. Please bring in the jurors. His mind, I will not advise the jurors that he's taking a stand, but we'll just let them know they're going home early for the evening. Everyone can be seated. Members of the jury, after consulting with the attorneys, we are actually going to end a little bit early this evening. So you'll get to go home in just a few minutes. Once again, I'm going to give you the same instruction. Don't discuss the case with each other or anyone else. Don't seek out any media coverage. Don't read anything or watch anything concerning this case. We will resume with the defense's case tomorrow morning. Please report at 8:30, and we will try to get started at the normal time of 8:45. Enjoy your early night off.
Thank you.